How's everybody doing? It's me, Luke, New Age Thought here. I'm trying to figure out the best sort of camera angle. Anyway, I want to get nice and up close and I don't really want to glare, so I'm going to see how that works. Okay. So this video today, guys, is going to be kind of similar to a lot of the videos that will be on my channel. Whatever's on my heart, whatever I'm thinking about at the current time. This is not a planned video. Sometimes I just get up and I feel like talking. So that's what I'm doing right now. So welcome to the channel, guys. The breaking news is obviously the mandates on businesses for COVID, right? That is huge. And it's really, a lot of people are, quite frankly, a little bit, I would say, unnerved by it, regardless of how you feel about this whole virus. And, if you got the vaccine, that's great. If you didn't get the vaccine, that's also your choice. And I don't want to say that's great, but, I'll say it's great too. Like it's literally like, what is amazing is that we have the freedoms to choose whether or not you want to do that. Okay. You're as an adult. Okay. We're not talking about children. As an adult, it's just like putting a helmet on when you go and ride a bike. Okay. If when you get on a bike, you know that there's a danger. Okay. There's a potential danger that you might fall off your bike and hit your head. But we give you, the right to choose whether or not you're going to wear that helmet. In a lot of states, if we're talking about motorcycles, you have to wear a helmet. I'm not saying that the government hasn't done anything or hasn't mandated anything that is a safety protocol that's been beneficial. But this is a big one because there's a difference between putting something on your head for 25 minutes and injecting something into your body that changes the way that certain cells in your body communicate and ultimately produce antibodies for a virus. I think when it comes to anything internal, I think we really have to be analyzing those any government mandate on a much higher level. So what am I trying to get at? I don't like what I'm seeing. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, it's not that I have a problem with our country taking measures to say, hey, we need to be safe from this thing and we need to make sure everybody's vaccinated. That is not my issue. My issue is with the way we're going about it. Instead of trying to, show people the positives and really, be like, sit down, talk to people about the benefits of the vaccine, tell people how they're going to be protected. What I see is a lot of, you're bad if you don't get it. Like you are a bad person. We're going to put you in a group, like at least from the larger media perspective, we're going to label you as the unvaccinated. Anytime you label like a large group of people, number one, I think that's just ridiculous because there's so many, people are individuals, and for you to just go, boom, unvaccinated, it's like you're labeling these people as like less than or something, you know what I mean? And I think it's so crucial that we do not do that. Okay, we have to be serious about keeping our country safe, but the way to do that is not to tell half of the country or whoever is not getting a vaccination that they are, a bad person. You can be realistic and say, hey, there might be some issues with, if you're unvaccinated and you get it, you might be more prone to creating, a different strain of the virus or something. But we also have to be truthful and tell people that can happen in vaccinated people as well. It's just probably less likely that will happen, right? This is the stuff that really gets to me, right? It's like, I feel like if you want to know kind of like what like big corporations and government and powers that be, quote unquote, want to tell you as a citizen, just swipe left on your iPhone and look at the Apple News column. That pretty much is giving you like usually what they'll do is they'll have like a COVID story, then they'll have like something about like Elizabeth Olsen wins a horse race, like some fucking bullshit, you know what I mean? And then they'll have another thing about COVID, and then they'll have something on like BuzzFeed, like, hey, what's 31 things that Americans think are like not so weird, but actually are pretty weird. It's like this crazy dichotomy of like, hey, look, COVID, and then like talking about just like pop culture and shit. It's so weird. But anyway, so I'm about to go to bed last night, and I'm on my iPad just flicking through the news and, you know, fucking around. And I see I didn't even open it up. I just see the sentence from, I think it was from USA Today. It said, the Constitution does not prevent President Biden from mandating a vaccine. Not only that, I'm still quoting, not only that, it allows for even more. That is, I'm sorry, that's simply not true, okay? We can have discussions about, like I said, whether or not to get the vaccine, but we cannot, I mean, we can't just sit here and ignore the core fundamental values of our country. That's seriously dangerous. I mean, there are, under like the Emergency Powers Act, I mean, pretty much everything you see being done on in regards to COVID a lot of it is being done under emergency powers, the act, or different clauses that basically allow for, accelerated things, or we'll break some of our constitutional rules in order to save people's lives, right? And those are always designed to be temporary, right? And the thing with government is, when you get a taste of that Emergency Power Act, and you can just start commanding governors as president to do this, to do this, to do this, that is really, really, that's a lot of power to give one person in a country that's supposed to have checks and balances, right? Imagine if it was Trump who is the one issuing this executive mandate. I think we would see a lot more questioning of these sort of powers in the media. Now, what I just don't understand, like, why don't we get to vote? Like, yeah, I understand how this country works. We elect representatives, and then they vote, right? When we're dealing with huge issues like this that have to do with your life, and like, let's say you're working at a company that has over 100 employees, like for a religious reason, or you just simply don't want to get the vaccine, whatever, that's up to you. You have that freedom and choice in America. That is what historically has made this country great. And I think that's an issue that we should be voting on. Like, all Americans should be like, hey, okay, how do we feel about this? What I'm trying to say is, if we're going to go down this road, right, where the government is basically making it so you have to get the vaccine, I mean, that's what's happening, right? Like, it's not an actual order, but it's pretty close, and they're prepping us to say that it will be eventually. That's what that article in USA Today was saying. But if we're going down this road, honestly, why don't we just vote on it? I'd be so much more comfortable. Like, as an American, even if I disagree with the outcome, if our country votes on it, then I'm okay, because I know that our country voted, and this is what the majority of the people in the country want. But when I'm just being told by people in the media, or, any president, the executive branch, that no, this is just the way it is. We're ordering an Emergency, Powers Act, and we're making it this way. You really don't have a choice in the matter. It really feels like there's something being thrown at us that is just a little bit fishy, man. I can tell you, this does not smell of democracy. I mean, when Biden says the words, this is not about your freedoms, this is not about your liberty, this is about keeping people safe. No, I'm sorry. It is always about our freedoms, okay? Just as much as it's about keeping people safe. But they're both up here. Do you understand? Sometimes we drop one down to make safety a little bit more of a priority. We did the same thing around 9/11. We said, okay, we just saw 2 buildings in New York collapse. There's all kinds of things going on in the country. The Pentagon was, quote unquote, hit by a plane. I've never seen footage of that plane hit the Pentagon, but I have seen the explosion. But that's a whole nother video. My point is, we as Americans were ready to give up some of our freedoms in order to be safer. The government said, we need to monitor your phones. We need to, create the NSA and, really create the Patriot Act. We need to, we're asking that, Americans give up some of their liberties in order for us to keep you safe from terrorists, right? Or future terrorist attacks. And a lot of Americans were super ready to do that. You want to know why? Because 9/11 acted as a catalyst that created a lot of anger and worry and fear and desire for revenge, that we were ready to pretty much do anything. When you get worked up as a person, right, even in just a normal conversation, you start to think less rationally. That's just a fact, okay? Like if you're going into a fight, right? When I cover the UFC fights and boxing fights, if a fighter is really pumped up and he's got so much emotion, that he can't even think straight, guess what? He's gonna get probably hurt, because he's not thinking clearly. You have to remain somewhat calm. Okay, there's always gonna be that pressure, but you gotta still remain calm and go, okay, well, I understand what's going on. I understand there's a danger out there, but let me look at this situation as if there wasn't a danger. In times of peace, what would it look like to look back on this situation and say, hey, did we do the right thing? Are we compromising our core values as a country? Okay? These are very, very serious questions that we need to ask ourselves. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Just pay attention, America, all right? Like, times of crisis are the times where we have to watch out the most. We have seen historically our liberties have been taken away and we don't get them back. If anybody wants to check up on the Patriot Act and all of the freedoms that we gave up during 9/11, guess what? I don't believe we've gotten a single one back. Once you give up freedom in a country, even a country as great as America, you really, boy, you got to fight pretty hard to get it back. Oftentimes you don't. Oftentimes people forget. And what I'm worried about is that right now we're going into, we've been in a crisis for, a year, and now there's more stuff coming out. Who knows how long this quote unquote crisis will go on for. But I'm totally with it up until this last thing. This is when I start to go, whoa. You want to get vaccines out fast? Great. You want to protect the American people? Great. You want to bypass the FDA and emergency regulations to get vaccines out? Great. But now you want to take my choice away, my fundamental God-given right as a human being to define what I put in my body. America was founded on your God-given right. Now, that doesn't mean you have to believe in God under the Christian God. It just means that we as Americans believe, okay, this is what the Constitution is all about. We as Americans believe that there are certain unalienable rights, okay? That means that no matter where you go, just being alive on this planet Earth, you were born with certain rights, okay? And one of those rights we believe is to defend yourself. And if you feel that putting something inside your body might hurt you in some way, then you have a right to say no, okay? Regardless of how other people feel. Now, the trouble is, people could choose not to get the vaccine, but we could then say, hey, all right, the government could say, hey, okay, you want to maintain your freedom of not getting the vaccine? Fine. Try finding a job. Okay, fine. Try finding some place to live. That would be the next thing. Oh, well, this is a community that's only for people who have been vaccinated. I guarantee you that's what we're going to start seeing, is exclusion and inclusion based around vaccination. And it's to me, this is on a global scale. So it's really kind of like, are you part of the new world order, or are you saying no? I mean is, are you going to be part of this new worldwide way of life on planet Earth, or do you feel so strongly about your God-given rights and your personal liberties that you're not going to part ways with them in a time of crisis? So we have to be very, very vigilant. In times of crisis and emotional instability, that's when our freedoms are taken away. And I guarantee you, you may be comfortable with certain freedoms being gone now, but later on in life, that's when you start to go, fuck, I think I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was very revved up. I was emotionally invested in what was going on, and I let that get the better of me. And that's why our founding fathers were so smart. A lot of people go, oh, well, the Constitution's an old document, it should be, updated. Listen, dude, the Constitution, there's a couple sentences in there that are not to be fucked with, okay? And right now we're fucking with one of them, and it's very concerning to me. So it's hard for me to focus on anything else, like, watch UFC and watch football or hockey or some fucking sport when there's all this stuff going on in the country. Like there's, you may not be interested in politics, but man, I just feel like there's so many people who are just still, they don't care. They just go to work, they come home, they put on the TV, and then they go to sleep and they do it all again. Meanwhile, there's all these things happening, and they're gonna wake up 5 years down the road living in a country that they don't even recognize. So I'm gonna leave it there. I had to get that off my chest, and I believe it's your right to choose whether or not you get the vaccine. I think it's your right to be free in America. And we have to decide what freedom means, okay? We have to decide what freedom means. Take care.